Okay, so thank you, Jamila. So Jamila is just taking you through the new GE Next Generation Café as well as Black Slate. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually taking you specifically into our new front control slide-in ranges, both in gas as well as in induction. Now, we have 10 new models we're introducing in 21 different configurations. So we have all dual fuels, we have all gas, we have single ovens, and we have double ovens. And as Jamila already mentioned, we are now the leaders in finishes. And she mentioned all those finishes. We have what everybody else has, plus we have a lot of exclusive finishes that have become a huge success. And coming in the new year, the one extra one that we're going to be bringing in is the black stainless. So with that, we definitely are the leaders in finishes. It also makes us the leader in configurations. By having all of those options in dual fuel and slide-in gas and induction. Also remembering we have brands, we have GE Profile, and we have Café. There's nowhere else you can get as many configurations as you will with GE. So let me take you through that. So I'm going to start right at the top. When we're talking about ranges, I always like to talk from the top down. I find that a simple way for the consumers to understand the features and benefits if I start at the gas cooktop or the induction cooktop and then work my way into the oven. So in our GE Profile and Café brands, they will all now have our edge-to-edge cooktops. How many of you know what I'm talking about when I say edge-to-edge? That's great. That's awesome. So over here I have a sample of the edge-to-edge, which basically we launched in our freestanding gas a couple of years ago. We took the grates and went right to the edge of the cooktop with them. It increased in the freestanding gas the cooktop surface 10% in gas. Which gives you a lot of flexibility. That's why we're able to use a lot of large pots on the cooktop surface, because we've increased that area. So you're getting a real flexibility in your cooktop by having the extra size and going to the edges. In addition, you have some really functional things as well, because it gives you the ability, because it's an integrated cooktop, to easily move your cookware, like a large pot of boiling water, over, because you don't actually have to pick it up. You can kind of literally just slide it over. That's another advantage of an integrated cooktop, as you'll see right there on the screen. And of course, there's the aesthetic. Right? They look amazing in the kitchen themselves with that integrated look. And when you put them actually in a kitchen, sometimes we don't get to see this on all of our floors. We don't get to see how well it shows in an actual kitchen, but it flows so nicely. And people are looking for that today. They're looking for that nice flow, the linear designs that they have in their kitchen. So the edge-to-edge gives us all those features. It gives us flexibility, it gives us functionality, and it gives us great looking style. So now available in all of our gas ranges. So that's an exciting thing. So now actually let's talk about the configurations themselves, because we have some real differences between GE, Profile, and Café. When we're talking about our GE cooktop, so actually I'll show you this right, they come with 2 grates on the sides and a griddle in the middle. So the griddle in the middle that comes with the GE, I have a sample of it right here. It is a Teflon coated aluminum griddle. All right, so all the GE branded slide-in gas front control ranges will come with this griddle. And it works on a 10,000 BTU burner. There's a sample where you can cook some great food up, some yummy food right in the center. You can use it for sauteing vegetables, pancakes, all the things that people love. Now, some people may want to have a grate in the middle. That also is an option. If they want to, they can purchase the grate for an extra $69. All right? Now, while you're on the floor, there's a great demo you can show, because the reason why this one doesn't come with the grate in the middle is because most of the time people will be using it with their griddle, because we have the oval burner. But on occasion, they may have something like the large roasting pan with the gravy that they want to move over and heat up, or they might have a fish poacher or a large casserole dish that they might want to use in the center. So again, they could purchase that grate for $69, or if you're in your store and you have a GE slide-in range like I have right here, you can simply show them it's perfectly okay just to take one of the edge grates and slide it on over. And that's a great demo to show them for those few occasions they might want to use the grate in the middle. You don't have to have one that you have to store. You can simply slide it over. So that's, because I always like to have a demo that I can show. The more you can visually show consumers, the more that they're going to retain that information. So GE slide-ins, 2 grates, and the griddle in the middle. Now, when you move up to Profile, you get all 3 grates. All right, so you'll have grates right across the whole cooktop. But we also include the industry's largest reversible cast iron griddle grate. So I have a sample of that right here, if I have the right one. So basically this gives us the option of, if we want to, I could cook up to 6 grilled cheese sandwiches on that. It's so large. And I challenge you to actually take this and compare it to the competitive models, and you'll be amazed by the extra size that you'll see on this. And then if I want to turn it around, I can flip it around, and I have the option of searing my meats and stuff on the other side, or vegetables. So a great flexibility as you step up into the profile models. And I really encourage you, again, on your floors, make sure that you're actually demoing that. I go into a lot of stores and I look at the profile gas ranges and I can't even find it. So make sure if you have it on your floor, get it out, show it. It actually displays really well just sitting on top of the center grate, and that way you won't forget to talk about it to your customers. Now, Café. We're going to move up to Café. When you get Café, again, you get all 3 grates with Café, and we get, whoop, well, somebody took it. It's gone, and it was probably me. I hit it. There we go. We get a large cast iron griddle with Café. It is not reversible. Okay, it comes with just the griddle on the one side, and you're going to understand why in just a few moments when I talk more about the cooktop. I'll pass this around just so you can feel the quality of our cast iron. So what is the advantage of cast iron in cooking? Does anybody know? Yes.
Finish it off the oven if you want.
Well, yeah, that's right. It's very durable. You could put it right in the oven. Any other cast iron? So retains heat in a and cooks very evenly the way it distributes heat. Isn't it amazing? Once you get a good seasoned cast iron griddle, it's hard to go back. They're amazing. So that's what comes in both the profile and the Café versions have the cast iron griddles and griddle grate combo. All right. So any questions about the griddle and the grates?
Can you order them? You guys are available, so if somebody buys something that they like that one better, can they order it?
Okay, so it depends on what it is. So the one that I showed you earlier, the grate in the middle, that is a finished good, so you can just order it. The other ones you would have to order through parts. So you would go through like a Reliable Parts. And so you can get any of them through Reliable Parts or any of our parts distributors. Yeah. But the difference is on that grate that I showed you in the middle, that's actually a finished good, and you can order it directly through the store.
Oh, okay.
And so also we do have the Café also comes with an option of a grill, so you can purchase a grill for it, and it'll be available as a finished good as well rather than a part, which means simply the difference between finished goods and parts is finished goods you can purchase directly through a store, parts you can order through one of our parts suppliers. Okay. All right, now, so we've talked about that. Let's go to the power. So starting at GE, has that gone all the way around? Okay, so starting at GE, we have 5 burner cooktops with a 10,000 BTU center burner in the middle, and 15 to 18,000 BTU power boil burners, depending on which model you get. As we step up to profile, we give you more. One of the things that we're going to give you in the profile version is our 21,000 BTU tri-ring burner. Now, we've had a tri-ring burner in the marketplace for a few years now. It was 20,000. We've now stepped it up. So the new launches, it's now going to be 21,000, even more powerful. Can anyone tell me what the advantage of a tri-ring burner is compared to maybe just a dual stacked or a single burner? That's perfect, yeah, more centralized heat. Okay, so if we think of a standard burner, we have a couple, maybe 1 or 2 rings around the outer edge. A lot of that heat energy can be actually lost up the side of the pot. In fact, gas in itself is the least efficient of all of our cooking power. So, for instance, induction gets over 90% of the power of the induction element goes into the pot. In gas, we're in the 60-something percentages. So what we want to try to do is, if we're adding more power to a burner, if we just continue to add more of that power to the outside ring, some of that could be lost more into the room. So if we centralize that heat, some of the extra heat into the center, we're going to get more of the heat energy directly into the pot, which if we're talking about a powerful burner like 21,000 BTU, That's a lot of heat energy. All right? So it means, what does it mean? It means I'm going to be able to boil my water even faster if I want to get something up in a real high power boil scenario. So a huge advantage to GE is the power and the fact that we're using the tri-ring so that we get more of the heat energy into the pot. Now, another unique thing about this tri-ring burner in the industry is that it actually really is 2 burners in one. So if you looked at, say, a tri-ring burner, you could bring in 1 gas line, which would be a typical way to do it. We bring in 1 gas line to feed all 3 rings of flame. And now so when we turn it up full power, all 3 rings of flame go up full. As we turn it down into a simmer setting, all 3 rings would slowly go out together. At GE, this is actually 2 burners in one. It has a completely separate burner in the center. This burner in the center, it has its own gas line. What that means is when I turn this burner down to a low simmer, it'll actually turn the power off or the gas off to the outer 2 rings and leave it only on in the center. So it allows me to get down to a real low simmer. Let's say, for instance, if I want to do like chocolate melting or something. So in the sense, by doing that, we're getting an incredibly powerful burner, but also a very controlled burner where I can lower it down and get the other benefit at the other end. What this essentially is actually a 19,000 BTU burner on the outsides with a 2,000 BTU burner in the center. And I'll pass this around so you can just kind of take a look at it if you want as a group. I have a couple of them, just if you haven't looked at one for a while. There you go. So lots of power. That's an advantage when you step up to profile, as well as when you go to Café. So the 21,000 BTU burner is on both profile and Café. This is a unique burner that we have on the profile models as well. I love this burner. It is a dual purpose burner, a dual oval burner. What this means, this burner, which is in the center, I can use it for 2 purposes. I can use it as a round burner itself, which this is great because now I have the ability in my center to use a pot, which you don't normally get to do when you have an oval burner only. But if I want to, I can activate the whole burner together and put it like a large oval piece on it and use it in both ways. So essentially, the profile ranges are 5 burner stoves, but they have this great flexible dual purpose center burner that gives me a lot more flexibility. So that's another advantage when you're stepping up to profile. And where we have 57,500 BTUs of power in GE, when we step up to the profile, we get an extra 1,000 BTUs of power, up to 58,500. All right. Now let's look at Café. Now one of the questions I've been asked over the last few years with Café was people would say to me, beyond the aesthetic, beyond the look, what are the functional differences between Café and profile? How do we distinguish the differences? I'm here to tell you today there are now going to be some very distinct differences when it comes to performance between profile and Café. So I'm going to bring up a picture of a Café range onto the screen. Can anyone tell me by looking at that cooktop something that they see that stands out to them right away?
6 burners.
6 burners, yes. So we're actually moving into a 6-burner cooktop in our Café gas ranges. That's exciting. That gives a ton of flexibility. And another thing that we're actually I'll show you this picture because it'll actually give you a good visual. By the way, that's the double oven. If you haven't seen a picture of it yet, it's a beautiful oven. I mean, this thing.
Gas,
The question is that gas is available as gas
yeah.
or as dual fuel. Okay. So you get to choose which one you have. Now, there's the actual picture of the actual cooktop itself. Does anyone want to venture? I told you it was 58,500 BTUs in profile. Does anyone want to venture how much power is in that cooktop? 72. Someone actually nailed it. 72,000 BTUs. That's a huge amount of power. You know, that's something we would normally be thinking about that might exist on a 6-burner Pro range. We have that in a 30-inch range in gas. Most people, the only way they have 72,000 BTUs of anything in their house is if they have one of those large, huge barbecues sitting out on their deck. But now in a 30-inch, this becomes an incredible amount of power, and it gives us a lot of flexibility. Because now with 6 burners, I do have the ability to put the griddle in the middle, and I can cook, for instance, if I have my griddle in the middle, that gives me the ability to use a pot like this in my middle, which is great. So I can use that. I can lay that in there, and cook on that. Or, this is what's great about Café, and you're not going to be able to do this on any non-6 burner stove. I can take my griddle off. That would be, of course, be used if I had the grate in the middle. And I can do this. I can actually operate it with 2 pots. And that means that I can then have maybe a large space over here for my skillet. And, this becomes important when? Who's the cooks in the... Big family meals, right? Or for the foodie, they love to do big meals all the time. And especially when you're getting to the end and when everything's coming together and you want to keep everything warm and you all want to hit at the table at the same time, this flexibility is huge, combined with amazing power. And again, these 2 burners in the middle, each of these are 9,500 BTUs of power. That's a lot of power. And it actually does have a separate control for when you put the griddle in. So if you put the griddle on, it has a griddle control, and it will automatically bring those 2 burners up and down as you require them. So what have we established? We've established that from GE to Profile to Café, we each have very distinctive cooktops with different features and benefits and flexibility. So any questions about the cooktops?
Is there a power burner on that?
So the power burner, yes. So power burner is the tri-ring 21,000 BTU burner right there. So both Profile and Café have a 21,000 BTU tri-ring burner. Any other questions?
Randy,
Good.
I've got a question actually about going back to the double oven configuration.
Yes.
In the all gas,
Yes.
is the upper smaller oven electric or gas?
No,
Are
they're
both
gas.
ovens
They're gas. Yes,
and
they're
the
gas
upper
oven.
smaller?
Yeah, they're
Okay,
gas
good.
ovens.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to know.
Okay.
Randy, would you say the 2 center burners you can sync those 2 burners?
Yes. So if the 2 center burners, on the front here, there is a separate section that actually has a griddle control. And it's that griddle control that will sync the burners. And that's important because at 9,500 BTU, if anyone's operated with a griddle, they would quickly pick up on the fact that that's too much power. If you were to turn both those up to high, that would be you'd be burning whatever you had on your griddle. So what they've done for you is they've provided you with a separate griddle control, which will bring those burners up and down within a range that is proper to use with your griddle. Right there, yes.
Are you putting the porcelain-coated racks in the Café?
Yes, we are. Yes, great question. In fact, we're going to get to that in a little bit minute when we come to cleanability. But yes, we're going to be putting our self-clean heavy-duty racks are going to be included in the Café. Yes.
Both burners, they go on together and go off together. You can't control them separately.
Yes, so you can do either. So you can if you have your griddle in the middle, you can control both burners simultaneously with one control. Or if each of these burners also have their own separate control, if I'm in this situation that I'm showing over here where I'm using 2 separate pots. So yeah, good question. Good. Yeah.
So that's a knob or is it a touchpad?
It's a knob. So all your burners are controlled with your knobs.
Even for that dual function?
Yes, even with the dual function. Yeah. There's a separate section on one of the knobs that controls the griddle. Yeah. Good. All right. Okay, yes.
So will we have to recommend an upgraded hood fan for this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the question was, would we have to recommend an upgraded hood fan? So the first thing you'll notice, especially when we're talking about black slate, is you're not going to find a black slate OTR. The reason is our OTRs are rated to 60,000 BTUs, which is quite a high number, really. But once we get into 72,000 BTUs, you do require a proper hood fan. We have a black slate one that's designed for the Café, available at 600 CFM, and it's rated for these gas ranges. Yes, and we also have stainless steel, of course, as well. Yes.
The vent on the back, do we still need high efficiency top hood fan?
Yes, so that's what I was saying. So the fan should be, you're talking about the ventilation fan?
Yeah, because there's a vent already in there.
Okay, so this vent itself is for the oven. So the vent you're referring to here, that's your oven vent? Yeah, so basically you're going to want to have good ventilation above this. Because of the sheer power, you're going to want to have a proper hood fan as compared to an OTR over top of that. Yeah. And we have them available, both in stainless and black slate. Good questions. All right, let's just quickly go over a few things in the oven because it's not just about the power of the cooktop. One of the issues we had when we were redeveloping Café is we did realize it's hard to upgrade our ovens because they're so great as they already are. So we added the hidden bake. That's what we did. But we have done one thing that's is a good upgrade. I thought I had an oven picture. Maybe I hid it. But basically what we've done, I'm going to show it to you right here, is we have made all of our ovens themselves, the gas ovens, are now true European convection. So we've added a 1200 watt heating element in all of our all-gas ovens, in Profile and Café, that will allow you to bring the heat to the center so we can cook really well if we're cooking on that third rack. They will work just with the regular 110 plug. You don't need to upgrade your plug, and you just can use the 110, but it now has a 1200 watt heating element. So that's an upgrade. All GE and Profile and Café all-gas slide-in ranges now are true European convection with a heating element. All right. Okay, I want to highlight, because you've had some great questions, but I don't want to miss talking about some great things we're launching here too as well in Café, and that's this induction slide-in range we have over here. With the cooktop and the induction, it comes with a 3700 watt element, and I actually have an induction element here. Basically, the advantages of induction is that we're taking the heat and bypassing the glass cooktop and taking it directly into the pot. We do that by using a magnet. This is an electromagnet. It's copper, which is electrolyzed to create magnetic, that goes directly into a pot that's magnetic, which has to have lead content in it. And it actually gets the molecules moving in the pot to create heat, all right? But doesn't do anything to the glass. So that's why it's so good for people who love to cook, because it gives them that great control, just like gas, where the heat goes directly to the pot rather than through a glass cooktop. That's the advantage of induction. So I'm going to pass these around because I'm sure there's a lot of people in the room who have actually never seen what one of these look like. And feel free to open it up and look inside and see. It's just basically a coil of copper with electrical leads. There's the smaller one in there. But our induction cooktop has a 3700 watt induction element, so that's tons of power, will boil amazingly well. That's all the power you're ever going to need. It uses a bridge element as well on the left that you can cook on, and the elements on the left, there's two 2500 watt elements. So much power on this cooktop. It's dual generator, and it also works on a 40 amp circuit. That's the questions you get asked most of the times. But also it's combined with great cooking in our ovens. But I do want to highlight one feature that is very unique to Café induction. And that is, I'm going to walk here and grab it, this right here. Can anyone tell me what this is? It's a probe. It is a probe. What type of probe? It's not a meat probe. This is actually a precision temperature probe. Now, how does this work? Actually, I have a picture of it. It'll show you right there in the use. It uses Bluetooth technology. So we actually communicate with the range to the probe through Bluetooth, just like we do with some of our OTRs. What you do with the probe is it's magnetic, which makes sense because any pot that's going to work on here has to have iron content, which will allow that, and it will actually stick right to the edge of the pot, just like you show there, and the probe goes directly into the pot. So that if I put water in here, I can actually control the temperature of that water within 1 degree. Now, can you think of any uses for that? Candy making? Oh, precise poaching eggs, yes. And we're not using it for candy making yet, but that's one of the future things that they're going to actually introduce. They are using it for chocolate making, though, for melting chocolate. You said poaching eggs, where you can set a precise temperature on your egg. Yeah. Any sort of, maintaining soup at an exact simmer, exactly where you wanted it, so it's not going to scorch. Lots of uses for this. And it works on the back left burner. And there's actually the control knob right here that allows you to actually set it to an exact temperature, anywhere between 80 and 185 degrees. So
does it have to be
or
on
212.
that burner?
Yes. So the question is, does it have to be on the back left burner? Yes, it does. In order to work with the control here, it connects, so it works on the back left burner. Okay? Now, how many of you have ever heard the term sous vide cooking? Yeah, there's a couple in your room. Okay, so sous vide cooking is actually a huge advantage of this probe. If you've ever eaten at a restaurant where you've gone in and you've ordered, say, like a medium rare steak, and maybe it's a really big, thick medium rare steak, and it comes back and you cut into it and it's cooked just beautifully on the outside, just nicely seared, but cooked right through. You ever wondered how they can do that? But when you try to do that at home with a big, thick steak, it's hard not to overcook the outside before it cooks right through the middle. They do it using sous vide cooking, which is what this precision temperature probe also is great for use for. If you go to the restaurant in the back, they'll have different baths of water in these sous vide cookers. One will be set to, say, 140 degrees. And long before you come in to get your steak, what they'll do is they'll vacuum seal that steak and they'll drop it in that bath of water that's being held at 140 degrees. It'll cook it right through, and then it'll stop and hold it there. It won't overcook it. It'll just keep it at that medium rare temperature. So you go over, you pick your steak, you order it, you say, oh, I wonder how well it's going to be, if they're going to do it right this time. They just simply go to the back, chef grabs it out of the 140 degree bath of water, opens it up, puts it on, sears it on the two sides, and sends it out to the table. It's just that simple. You bite into it, it's perfect, cooked right through, seared just the way you want it to do, and you go, this chef really knows how to cook a steak. Well, this chef has a huge advantage, and that's because he has precision temperature maintained in his sous vide cookers. And now, with Café, you can do that at home. So what a huge selling feature, showing a feature and benefit that you can offer to the Café customer. Remembering they are the foodies and they're going to love this sort of thing. So make sure we talk about the sous vide cooking and the precision temperature probe. Any questions?
Extra costs?
Extra costs. So when you buy the induction range, either in the single oven, in the double oven, the sous vide cooking probe will cost you $0. It's included. So that's a great thing. All right, good. Okay. I mentioned to you already that the other upgrade that we're doing in all the ovens that are gas, so I've talked to you about that. But this is a nice, quickly I'm going to highlight some of the cleanability upgrades. Because we've talked to you about the performance aspect. We've talked to you about the aesthetics and the look. Those are two big things. But cleanability is another big issue. And you need to know this in GE, Profile, and Café, all of our gas ovens and the induction ovens will now have steam clean. So they all will have steam clean functions. In all but the opening price point gas oven range in GE, they will all also have self-clean, all right? Including our self-clean racks. So these are the racks we asked that question on that are covered with, actually I'm going to take this out. Covered with what? Porcelain coated. So please, if you have a profile range or you have a Café range on the floor, make sure you pull this out and show it to your customers. Talk about the advantage that they do not have to wash their racks by hand, that they can leave these in and let the self-clean cycle do the work. Because if you leave a chrome rack in, it will warp, and that's why it gets so hard to pull in and out. So this is a huge cleanability advantage. In addition, you'll notice that I pulled out, what did I just pull out of there? Grate, because another huge advantage of both Profile and Café is you can actually self-clean the grates also in the self-clean cycle. So you put that all together, you talk about steam clean, you talk about self-clean, you talk about self-clean racks and self-clean grates. Ultimately, these become as easy as, or easier than any range on the market to keep clean. And that's a huge thing because everybody's looking for time, and only the very few people could actually say that they enjoy cleaning an oven, right? Most people will find this is an amazing thing. And for the foodie, that's what they want to do. They want to spend time cooking, not cleaning. All right, good. I think that's it. Any questions? Yes?
So Grate, you said for G Profile and G Café, you can do it in the self-clean.
Yes.
Not on the GE one?
Well, we don't have the self-clean racks in it. There is a way to do it in the use and care manual where you have to stack them in the bottom of the oven.
Okay, but Grate
But that-
quality is same, right? For
Yeah,
GE, G Profile
yes,
and-
they are the same. Now, yes, they will all be the same, yeah, across the board. Any other questions?